You want to become the best possible dad. Let me tell you about the 5 aspects that you have to become to raise the best possible kids. First of all, you have to provide love and discipline. It's also called fair disciplinarian. First of all, you have to be able to congratulate them, especially when they succeed something. You should not congratulate their talent. You have to congratulate the work that they have put in. As discussed by Carol Dweck in her book, Mindset, there are 2 different mindsets. On one hand, you have the fixed mindset, which is basically people that believe in intelligence and talent. So if you have a bad result, it's because you're dumb. On the other hand, you have what we call the growth mindset, which is basically people that think that if you work really hard, you can develop every single day. If you have a bad result at the exam, it's probably because you haven't put the work in. So you have these 2 mindsets, and you have to make sure that what you're giving your kids is congratulation because of the work that they have put in. Let's take an example. Your daughter comes back home and she had a great result. She has an A. You have the possibility to tell her, well done. The best possible way to say it is to say, okay, I'm very happy about the result that you have achieved. And I'm especially happy of the work that you have put in because you've worked really, really hard and you have really pushed your boundary to develop in order to get this type of result. And the work that you have put in now is paying off. Well done for all the work that you have put in, and just continue to work as hard if you want to continue to have such great results. Also, you have to tell them off, especially if they have done something bad, something that can jeopardize their future, or even if they are disobedient, for example. You have to make sure that you are punishing them appropriately. So do not inflict physical punishment to your kids. If you know that your kids like spending time on your tablet, for example, or on your phone, you can tell them that they are not allowed to use them for a certain period of time. If they like going out, for example, to see their friends, you can install some grounding for maybe 1 or 2 days. It's important that every time you're sanctioning your kid, you're explaining why, because they have to understand why and what they have done wrong. Another aspect that is very important, and I've seen it actually quite a lot of the time, especially around me. People are not consistent with their kids. One day they will be allowed to jump on the sofa. Another day they will not be allowed to do it. One day they have to stay for dinner at their seat. Another day they can take their dinner and eat everywhere in the house. Another day it's fine to come back late. And another day, 5 minutes late, and they are being told off. Consistency is very important, especially for kids, to understand the rules. If you do not have clear rules, it's very easy for the kids to break them. Also, you want to make sure that your kids are going to be functioning members of society. So you have to raise them to behave appropriately. There are way too many spoiled brat kids around here. Parents that don't tell them off. Tell them that everything that they do is fine. But the issue is that as soon as they get to school, no one wants to play with them. No one wants to share toys with them. So if you're a parent and you love your kids, you have to tell them off, because you have to make sure that they can be accepted by other kids, because they have to regulate their emotions and their feelings as well. One of the aspects that I always tell parents is that you have to make sure that your kid can sustain social pressure, peer pressure. When your kids are in school or when your kids are with their friends, they are going to be exposed to a lot of pressure. Pressure, for example, to behave badly, to steal maybe, to smoke maybe, to drink alcohol way before the acceptable age. All of these type of pressures are going to be around your kid. You have to make sure that your kid can sustain peer pressure, especially if they know that what they are doing is right. 2, do not cuddle them. Let them take risk. As Jordan Peterson say, let the kids do roller skating. Let the kid take risk. Because too many times we want to protect the kids. In the book, The Coddling of the American Minds, he explains that a lot of the Gen Z have been coddled to the extreme. And as a result, when they come into societies, companies, in the corporations, they cannot cope with the pressure because everywhere they have a safe space. They had safe spaces in school, they had safe spaces in college and universities, and then when they get to the corporation world, there's no safe space and they are lost. So they have to be able to be confronted with different opposing ideas. They have to be able to interact with people that think differently. So many people are raising kids that are not able to interact with other people or opposite point of views. And this is the way we also see it in the way fathers raise their kids and mothers raise their kids. On the mother side, if a kid comes and will present a bad result in school, the role of the mother, on average, again, is to reassure the kids, telling the kids, it's okay. Maybe the teacher didn't treat you fairly, but it's okay. I still love you, you're my kid, and whatever happens, I will be there to support you. That's the mother side, the nurturing side. And on the other side, you have the father side. Fathers are going to be like, that's a very disappointing result, and I can understand that you're very sad about the result. Let's look into it. What went wrong? How can we improve it? Let's make a planning about how you can develop your different skills. Next exam, you are at the best possible skills so you can tackle this exam. Mothers will reassure and provide love and reassurance to the kids. Fathers are going to provide solutions, short-term and long-term solutions. So it's different. And again, this is on average. It's not for all parents. If you love your kids, of course you want them to be happy and fulfilled in life. But that also goes through hardship and hurdles. Some parents will say, okay, I want my kid to never be exposed to anything bad. I do not want my kid to suffer or to have bad experiences in life. But that's just not possible, because in life, you're going to have to deal with bad situations. Sometimes there are unlucky situations. Whatever the situation, you will have to deal with unexpected bad situations. Instead of making all the situation very good, maybe you have to make your son or daughter very strong to be able to cope with the hardship of life. Now, I want you to take some time and imagine 4 different boxes. In the first box, you have money, loads of money. The second box is time. The third box is role model. And the fourth box is quality time. Which box do you think is the most important for your kid? Some people will say, I think kids just need money. Give them a lot of money and they will be very happy. Someone else will say, just spend time with them. But I will tell you, the most important aspect is not the money. It's not the time. It's the quality time that you spend with them. And the fact that you are a role model, especially as a dad. There have been quite a lot of studies studying what is important for the development of the skill. And in his book, The Boy Crisis, the author highlights that kids need much more the time with the father than his money. The way I see these 4 boxes ranking is, first of all, you have to spend quality time with your kid. That's the most important aspect. You have to be there for the important moment of your kid. This is what we call quality time. First day in school, you have to be there. Graduation in school, you have to be there. Your kid has been singing for 6 months for this concert, you have to be there. Your kid is being an actor in a scene and he has been rehearsing for 1 year, you have to be there. You have to take care of your kid, especially on this quality time, this important moment. Another important aspect that you have to be there is to teach them the useful skills of life. For example, your kid is a toddler, and you have to teach them how to brush their teeth. That can seem like something that is not important, but that will create a bond between you and your kid. Similarly, your boy is 13, 14, and he starts growing hair. You can teach them how to shave. What a great experience sharing this specific moment between the dad and the boy. That's going to reunite you and get you closer. Similarly, between you and your daughter, if she's going to tell you, I don't know how to interact with the boys in my class, they are all so stupid. And you're going to be able to tell her, boys are stupid because A, B, and C. Fourth, you have to be a role model. Instead of constantly telling your kid what to do, yourself, you have to do it. You have to be the role model for your kid to replicate. You want your kid to have a clean and tidy room, you have to make sure that your room is as tidy as you request your kid's room to be. You want your kids to be able to have a healthy diet, exercise on a regular basis. Yourself, you have to be able to go to the gym often, work out often, eat healthy foods. That's how you actually be a role model to your kids. You want your kids to be honest. Are you honest? Do you tell the truth? Or do you lie on a regular basis? Also, your kids are going to pick up on this. Because what you want your kids to do is much better for you to embody the change than telling your kids to change something. Kids are always going to replicate what you do, whatever happens. And I remember the stories with my boys, for example. I wanted them to do boxing. I wanted them to go and do some boxing, so I bought some gloves, some pads, and I was so motivating to teach them some of the basic boxing skills. But surprisingly enough, they were not interested to learn. They didn't really care about this. They didn't know what boxing was, and they were not really keen on learning. A couple of weeks later, they came to join me when I was practicing boxing, when I was working out, when I was doing a boxing session with my personal trainer. And we were doing some sparring. So obviously there was quite a lot of action, and it was very intense as well. And the kids were looking at it, and they were very passionate about it. And when I came back home, a few days later, they came to see me, and they were like, Dad, can we do some boxing together? I was like, what do you mean? I thought you didn't like boxing. Yeah, boxing is so fun. We saw you with your personal trainer. It was so great. Your sparring was so intense, so active. The energy was incredible. And I was looking at them with eyes of satisfaction. And I was very happy that when they looked at what I did, they wanted to become like that. It's funny because the kids always want to be like their parent. And in all aspects, they want to be like that, especially with their boys. So many people also badmouth their partners, unfortunately, especially when the families are broken. When the parents don't live together, people badmouth their ex-partner, and that's very detrimental to the kid. Kids do not like this. If you ever happen to badmouth your partner, please refrain from it. Stop doing it. You're causing your kid much more trauma than what they're already going through. You have to admit your mistakes. Parents are not perfect. You are not perfect. I'm not perfect. No one is perfect. So when you do something that is incorrect, especially if something is wrong, you have to tell your kid, sorry, I misjudged you. Sorry, I punished you when you were not the guilty party. Sorry, I haven't lived up to your expectation. Sorry, I've missed your concert. I'm very sorry about this. You have to be honest and live with integrity, especially when you have kids. So when you do something wrong, admit your mistakes and move on. But you have to admit them, otherwise you're just going to live in a lie. Kids are very smart to spot inconsistency. Fifth, you have to treat your kid as an individual. Why? because every single kid is different. Sometimes your kid is not going to be so competent in one thing. So for example, if you have a baby, maybe your kid does not walk when he or she is already 1 year old. And you see other kids at the same age already walking. Maybe your kid doesn't talk when he's 2 or she's 2, and you're worried about it. Maybe your kid is behind in mathematics or English, for example. But every single kid is different, and you have to treat your kid as an individual. Kids learn different things at different speed. And sometimes they are not going to be good at that specific thing that you're focusing on. Maybe you're focusing on mathematics skills. And maybe your kid is not so great at mathematics, especially at this age. But if the kid is consistent, she's consistent and constantly learning, she will be able to be better every single day at mathematics. Now I'm going to give you a personal advice. I would not raise my kids the same way if they are boys and girls. And I know that this is not politically correct. But let me tell you my take on it. After reading lots of different books, especially The Blank Slate by Steven Pinker, men and women are different. They think differently, they behave differently, and they will select partners differently. And this is why when daughters are very small, they will always tell them, do not get dirty. The society expectations for women and men are different. Men have to compete. Men have to provide. Men have to protect. And these are the skills that are being nurtured by parents, especially when the kids are small. So, for example, in order for a man to find a partner, he has to be competent. He has to be able to compete with other people, especially financially. He has to be physically in good shape. And how do you do that? Is by taking risk. And this is why a lot of men, we are pushing men to take much more risk than women. On the other hand, most of the men will like to have a woman that is kind and feminine and that can dress properly. This is why what is being asked of the girls will be different than what is being asked of the boys. Because you want them to be active members of society, you want them to be appealing to their potential partners, because potentially you want them to have a family. Let me give you a bonus as well. Please take time to take care of your relationship with your partner. Pregnancy and child-rearing is very consuming on a couple, but it's especially consuming on the wife, because usually she's the one that's taking most of the time off work to take care of the kid. She's the one carrying the baby when she's pregnant, and she's the one that's going to breastfeed the baby as well. So she's taking quite a toll on her body in order to have this kid. Make sure that you spend quality time with your wife, even when you have kids, especially when they are babies. Babies take a lot of time. They take so much time that it's very difficult to still have a relationship with your wife. But that's mandatory. You have to make sure that you set some time apart, because your relationship is the priority over your kids. And I would say it again. Your relationship is the priority over your kids. Healthy kids are part of a healthy relationship. If your relationship is a mess, it's very likely that your kids are going to turn up to be messy as well. So first of all, make sure that you have quality time with your partner and you still maintain good time and good communication and interaction with your partner. Secondly, allocate some time to go on a date, to go on a trip as well with your wife. Do not spend all the time only taking care of the kids. It's good to spend time with your kids. It's good to spend holidays with your kids as well. But make sure you take some time off to spend time with your wife, dating, and also on holidays. You can give the kids, hopefully to your family or to a childminder if you have the need. And lastly, do not give up on intimacy. Intimate time is very critical for couples. in order to maintain healthy relationship. So when you have kids, especially when it's difficult, you have to make sure that you have intimate time on a regular basis. If you do not, then you have to highlight it to your partner. And if it doesn't work, I advise you to watch the 4 confidential keys to attractiveness. You probably want to boost your attractiveness, especially if you have difficulty being intimate with your partner.